Public domain information from Wikipedia on Boom Crash Opera. Australian rock band, 80s, 90s rock band, Boom Crash Opera. Boom Crash Opera, an Australian pop rock band formed in early 1985. Initially, they were based around the songwriting partnership of Richard Pleasance on guitar, bass guitar and vocals, and Peter Farnan on guitar, bass guitar, keyboards and vocals. Pleasance developed tinnitus from constant exposure to loud live music and left in 1992 to pursue a solo career as an artist and producer. The group also included Dale Ryder on vocals, Peter Maslin on drums, percussion and vocals, and from 1992, Ian Tilley on bass guitar and vocals. The top 20 albums are Boom Crash Opera, These Here Are Crazy Times, and Fabulous Beast. The top 20 singles are Great Wall, Hands Up in the Air, Onion Skin, Gimme. In the United States, Onion Skin reached number 8 of the Billboard component chart, Modern Rock Tracks. Australian musicologist Ian McFarlane noted that the group had a strong visual image and the uncanny ability of its principal songwriters to pen catchy commercial songs ensured a string of successful releases. Career. Boom Crash Opera formed in early 1985 in Melbourne with a lineup of Peter Farnan on guitar, keyboards and backing vocals, ex-Ertl, and Serious Young Insects, Peter Maslin on drums, percussion and backing vocals, ex-One Hand Clapping, Greg O'Connor, Richard Pleasance on bass guitar and backing vocals, ex-Government drum and bang and One Hand Clapping, and Dale Ryder on lead vocals. Serious Young Insects had formed in 1980 with Peter Farnan on vocals and guitar, Michael Valance on vocals and bass guitar, and Mark White on vocals and drums. Australian musicologist Ian McFarlane described Serious Young Insects as a quirky three-piece Melbourne new wave band. They issued an album, Housebreaking, May 1982, and 3 singles. Lisa Perry of the Canberra Times praised the album several times. I had to check the cover to see if there were not also some session musos or others contributing to the sounds I was hearing. For a 3-piece combo, these lads sure make a good sound. Pleasance, a classically trained guitarist, was a fan and briefly joined the group before it broke up in the following year. In September 1985, 3 Australian journalists, Paul Gardner, Jane Gardner and Toby Creswell, listed 12 groups as the next big thing, with Boom Crash Opera described as one name that stands out, a Melbourne band that has every A&R man and his dog salivating. There are some other bands which, if not attracting the same sort of frenetic endorsement, are nevertheless on the minds of the scouts. Farnan described his bandmates other than Pleasance to the Canberra Times Polly and a Sutton in May 1986. The others are sort of from nowhere. Peter Maslin, the drummer, had done a lot of sessions. He met Richard in his avant-garde band called One Hand Clapping. Then they played together with Vanessa Fields for a while. Dale came out of the blue. He has done some singing with bands but never had a serious crack at it until now. Boom Crash Opera was signed to WEA, and in April 1986 they released their debut single Great Wall, which was produced by Steve Brown. Great Wall reached number 5 of the Australian Kent Music Report singles chart in the next month. The track was written by Ryder, Pleasance and O'Connor. According to Farnan, Richard wrote the music and Dale helped him finish the words, but they did not know what they wanted to write about, so I suggested they write about the Hume Weir. It isn't especially about the Hume Weir, but they use the idea about a dam wall that dams up fear and prejudice. There was also the wall that shores up relationship. McFarlane described it as an exuberant single which established the hallmarks of their sound, the tight, funky rock of the music, the boom-like crack of the drums, and the work song chant of the vocals. The group toured the Australian pub rock circuit promoting the single. The second single, Hands Up in the Air, followed in August, which peaked at number 16. It was written by Pleasance, Ryder and Farnan, and was produced by Brown. A music video was directed by Kimball Rendell, XL Capri, and Hoodoo Gurus. At the REM Music Awards of 1987, the group were nominated for 3 awards: Highest Selling Single for Great Wall, Best New Talent for both singles, and Best Video for Hands Up in the Air. At the Countdown Music and Video Awards of 1986, held in July 1987, Great Wall won Best Debut Single. A self-titled debut album followed in September 1987, which was recorded in London and produced by Alex Sadkin, who had worked with Grace Jones, Duran Duran, James Brown, Simply Red, and Talking Heads. Both Great Wall and Hands Up in the Air were remixed for their album versions. After recording the album, Sadkin travelled to the Bahamas to work, where he died in a car accident in July. Boom and Crash Opera reached number 19 on the Kent Music Report albums chart and was certified as a gold album. Stuart Coupe of the Sydney Morning Herald reported there were impressive notices for the album and that the group had been tipped for megastardom. Follow-up singles were City Flat, June 1987, Her Charity, September, and Love Me to Death, March 1988, which were minor hits. Coupe felt that City Flat was one of the more outstanding tracks and appears to paint a fairly bleak picture of the hometown. All Music's Kevin Hayes compared the sound to Tears for Fears, Ice House, and In Excess. He felt it was an impressive debut. Pete Maslin's drumming keeps pulse, a pensive guitar leads into the most brilliant of bridges, and a lifting melody underpinned by Richard Pleasant's strong bass line. However, Hands Up in the Air was musically strong but weak in its lyrics. It's a wonder it made the album, let alone became a single. It has a teeny naivety. In August 1989, they released a single, Onion Skin, ahead of their second album, These Here Are Crazy Times, October, which was produced by Jimmy Levine, Pete Smith and Pleasance, and mixed by Nick Launay. The album reached number 10 on the RA Albums chart. It spent 40 weeks in the top 50 and achieved a double platinum certificate. AllMusic's Jonathan Lewis opined that it was a slick commercial pop. As in previous outings, lead singer Del Ryder's effortless, though somewhat limited vocal delivery, and Richard Pleasant's skillful guitar work helped disguise the fact that underneath the catchy melodies and slick production, there wasn't a lot of substance to their music. Onion Skin peaked at number 11 on the RS Singles Chart and was followed by four more singles: Get Out of the House, The Best Thing, Dancing in the Storm, and Talk About It. Dancing in the Storm also featured in the 1990 Australian comedy The Big Steal. In 1990, they released a compilation album, Look Listen, which featured remixed versions of songs from their first two albums plus two new songs. At the end of that year, Pleasance was diagnosed with tinnitus and was unable to perform with the group. He was temporarily replaced on bass guitar by former bandmate from Serious Young Insects, Valance. During his break from the band in 1991, Punch released his debut solo album, Galleon. Later that year, Boom Crash Opera released a four-track extended play, Dreams on Fire, with both Pleasance and Valance aboard. The EP was produced by Keith Forsey and the band. It appeared on the RS Singles Chart Top 50 and featured the track Holy Water. In 1992, they traveled to Los Angeles and began working on a follow-up album, Fabulous Beast. However, during early writing sessions, Pleasance left the band and returned to Australia. He was temporarily replaced by Dorian West on bass guitar, ex-Wildland. It was during the recording of Fabulous Beast that the band found themselves impacted by the 1992 Los Angeles riots. The song The Last Place on Earth that appears on the album was inspired and written as a result of his experience. The final vocal line of Ryder's in the song, which is Just Look Out the Window, has his voice actually breaking due to being so emotionally moved by the experience. After Boom Crash Opera returned from LA, Ian Tilley joined on bass guitar, keyboards, and backing vocals as a permanent replacement for Pleasance. In late 1992, they released a single, Better Days. The track was written by Farnan and O'Connor, and in early 1993, the Liberal Party wanted to use it for the federal election campaign theme, but were refused permission. Better Days was followed in March by the related album, Fabulous Beast, which was produced by Forsey, Don Gehman, and the group. It peaked at number 15, while it provided two further singles, In the Morning and This Isn't Love. The Canberra Times' Bevan Hannon noted the album's overall strength was especially evident when compared to their previous work. It had an acoustic flavour which Hannon found striking, with In the Morning as the best example of the style. The group toured Australia to promote the album and its singles and were road testing songs. In October, they headlined the world's biggest barbie in Canberra with Weddings, Partings, Anything as a support act. Farnan described how they'd been flogging our wares to Nicole Leadham of the Canberra Times. He noted that rock and roll bands are strange creative beasts. We indulge ourselves now and again and take a radical left-hand turn and get off the track. He remembered playing alongside weddings, parties, anything. They started at about the same time as us and were sharing bits of equipment while we were both getting established. Mark Wallace, piano accordionist of the latter group, agreed that the two bands had an affinity, but we haven't seen them for a couple of years. The four remaining members, Farnan, Maslin, Ryder, and Tilly, continued the band, and in October 1994 they issued a single, Gimme, on the newly signed label BMG. It reached number 14 and was followed by the next single, Tongue Tied, which appeared in the top 30 in February 1995. The parent album, Born, was released in March and was produced by Farnan and Neil Wiles and engineered by Kalju Tanuma. It was issued in a double CD package with a space reserved for a second disc, Born Again, which was due to be released in April. McFarlane declared the album was a tougher affair which found the band embracing high-tech pop, techno metal, and all manner of sound effects and cyberpunk studio trickery. Although Gimme had received generous radio airplay and the album had reached the top 40, BMG scrapped the release of a second part, Born Again. In November 1987, Boom Crash Opera released a studio album, Gizmo Mantra, which was produced by Daniel Denholm, Kalju Tanuma, and the group. Pulling back from the electronic-sounding previous album, Gizmo Mantra was a return to the melodic rock sounds of earlier work. It included the singles All and Dreaming Up a Fire. The latter had been written by Farnan and Pleasance at the time of the Dreams on Fire sessions. However, Gizmo Mantra failed to reach the top 50. McFarlane noted that after 1997 the band disappeared from view, but during their main career they had a strong visual image and the uncanny ability of its principal songwriters to pen catchy, commercial songs and ensured a string of successful releases. Boom Crash Opera continued and performing and releasing material. In August 1998, BMG issued a compilation album, The Best Things, Greatest Hits, which featured their singles from previous albums, plus two tracks, soundtrack and radio, from their own released album, Born Again. In 2002, Robert Doyle, the opposition leader of Victoria, used Dancing the Storm as his theme during the Liberal Party's state election campaign launched in November. The band were not asked for permission and would have refused it if asked, according to Pleasance, who had co-written the track with Farnan. He said the pair would consult their lawyers about possible copyright action. Pleasance opined that the group would not allow any political party to use their music. It's just not what the songs are about. The Liberal Party's campaign failed. Steve Braxton of the Australian Labor Party won the election. In 2008, Hook and Sling released a dance remake of a 1989 single, The Best Thing, featuring on Ministry of Sound Sessions 5. On April 5, 2009, the group performed at Alistair Knox Park, Eltham for a Day of Healing, a benefit court to support the Country Fire Authority and affected communities following the Black Saturday bushfires. During those bushfires, the group had been in Pleasant Studio in Hepburn Springs, recording an acoustic disc for Dancing in the Storm. On the 1st of May 2009, Boom Crash Opera released Dancing in the Storm as part of the Liberation Blues series. It comprises a compilation CD with acoustic reworkings of their songs and a live DVD recorded during the Fabulous Beast tour. The acoustic disc had the lineup of Ryder on vocals, Farnan on acoustic guitar, Maslin on drums, Pleasance on acoustic guitar, mandolin, sitar, and oud, and Tilly on bass guitar. Pleasance guested with the band for the first time since 1992. The live DVD was from a performance for MTV Australia's Unplugged at Melbourne's Channel 9 studios back in June 1993. Both discs were engineered and produced by Pleasance. The band promoted Dancing the Storm with a national tour. The band's song Dancing the Storm excuse me, was used in 2010 for the Mount Franklin Water TV ad. On the 12th of February 2012, the group performed at the St Kilda Festival. 3 releases were issued on 18th of October 2013 by Liberation Records. The Best Things Greatest Hits, an album and the album of rare tracks called The Lost Things, and the 4 CD set called Rattle It Out. In March 2016, drummer Pete Maslin advised original member and lead singer Dale Rowder had resigned from the band, replaced by Andrew De Silva. The band toured across Australia throughout 2016 and 2017. Rowder rejoined in 2019. Sorry about the coughing. Yeah, been listening to Boom Crash Opera for years. One of my favourite bands. So yeah. Public domain information from Wikipedia on Boom Crash Opera. Jeez.